Friday. I can't believe we're going on 7 months now of virtual programming to accommodate everyone that's home. I'm waiting just for a few more people to come in. Tell me, Jess, when you think everyone's in. I'm sure others will join us as we go along.
Yeah, it looks like we've got everyone in right now.
Okay.
Sit down and be Hildy Heaton.
So, so again, I just want to thank everybody for coming to our 7th virtual First Friday. Last year, these lovely people from Northern Stage were at Whipple Hall, which is behind me here. And this year we are virtually at Whipple Hall. So thank you again for the people, the audience attendees for coming. And I can't thank Northern Stage enough for working with us on these First Fridays. We look forward to this every October. We get to see what you have planned, what's coming up in the following year, what new people are involved, directors, actors, and we're so excited to share that with you and to hear all the good things that Northern Stage is doing. I understand that you will be opening up some live performances soon, so I hope people will join in and venture to Northern Stage for those live performances. I can't wait myself to see them. I know everything's going to be safe and perfect. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the rest of the lineup for the Center for the Arts, we will have a live gallery opening night the first Friday of November. Now, we have postponed this a few gallery night openings, but we are ready to go safely, masks, hand sanitizer, spacing out in all of the micro galleries that we have in New London. So it'll be a very exciting night, November. We hope you join us November 1st, Friday. And in December, we are going to have the performance of the Highlights of the Messiah, which is just a beautiful, beautiful program, which was done in collaboration with the Center for the Arts artists and the Kearsarge Conservatory of the Performing Arts. We also have, I want to mention, a wonderful auction coming up. We had to cancel our gala for arts education, which we have had in October of each year. But in lieu of that, we are having an Arts for Arts Education auction. This will be online. It will be a wonderful sampling of all of the beautiful artists that are in our region and some virtual offerings, lessons and classes and cooking classes. So there's a lot to look forward to there. So without further ado, I want to welcome our Northern Stage participants, Jess Chase, Marisa Smith, and guest artists, the playwright, Marisa Smith, and our Dartmouth actor, Kate Dieren. Sorry, I had those names mixed up. So welcome and tell us more about what's going on with Northern Stage.
Great, thank you so much, Jean. We're so happy to be a part of this, happy to see everyone virtually, and there will be lots of time for questions and answers later in the program, so excited to meet everyone face to face a little bit as much as we can right now on Zoom. So my name is Jess Chase. I am the Bold Associate Artistic Director at Northern Stage, and I'll explain what that means in a moment. First thing I wanted to say is everyone's Zoom etiquette is already amazing. I did want to do a couple of little Zoom rules of the road. So keep yourself muted unless you're speaking. I think everyone knows that one. You have, both a speaker view and a gallery view that you should have in the upper right corner of your screen. And I recommend speaker view if you'd like during the presentation. And then once we get into Q&A, you might want to move into gallery view to see everyone. Totally up to you. Other than that, yeah, when we get into the Q&A section, probably we'll be able to just go into gallery view and see people's actual hands. But you can also use the raise hand function, which you can find, if you look at your sort of white participant screen, there's a button that says raise hand in the lower left there, but we'll get more to that when we get to the Q&A section. And then this is, unlikely to happen. Once in a while, there's been instances of Zoom hackers, though we have a lot of security measures in place. So if that happens, we will try and remove that person and as swiftly as possible and resume with our program. So that's all I have to say, I think, by way of some rules of the road. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we have coming up this fall at Northern Stage, and hopefully I won't go on too long because we actually do have a lot happening. I feel like throughout this, COVID era, we have heard from so many of you wonderful people in our community who sustain us and support us, who are wondering, like, how on earth are we doing? So hopefully this will shed a little bit of light into what it's like to work in the live theater field during a pandemic. So, from the beginning, I think it was really important for us at Northern Stage to keep connecting with our community. And so whereas a lot of theaters are dormant right now and a lot are just sort of battening down the hatches and trying to make it through this era, it was very important to us to continue seeing and working with the amazing people in the Upper Valley region. So, over the summer, that looked like some programming on Zoom, like Playdate, and like some other special programs, and the continuation of our education program in a way that I'll speak about soon. And now what that means is actually bringing brand new theater to you in several different ways, both virtually to allow for social distancing and for people who don't feel comfortable yet coming into the theater. And also, as Jean mentioned, we have one performance that we're going to be doing live in the Barrett Center for socially distanced audiences of about 40 patrons per night. And so I'm going to tell you about all of those offerings because no matter what level of comfort you have and no matter what you are in the mood for this fall, I feel like we have something for everybody. There's a lot coming up. It's also allowed us to hire some of our favorite artists like Marisa Smith, among others, and to give work to the artists who are struggling right now during this, very fallow period in the theatrical arts. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So firstly, when I introduced myself as the Bold Associate Artistic Director, Jean was asking me earlier what is that stands for. And so Bold is an incredible program created by our artistic director, Carol Dunn, to mentor women in roles of theater leadership. So she created a national cohort in this partnership with the Helen Gurley Brown Foundation. And Northern Stage actually runs this circle. So I moved here from New York City 2 years ago to become the Bold Associate Artistic Director, a position which before that had not been held at Northern Stage. The position was created in order to give a mentorship opportunity to someone who wants to become an artistic leader. And so I've been benefiting from that incredible opportunity for the past 2 years and heading into my third season. And along with Northern Stage, there are 4 other theaters all around the country who are all a part of the Bold Circle and all have these incredible mentorship opportunities with female artistic directors. So that's a little bit about what Bold is, and it's an absolutely amazing visionary program. So now to what we are doing this fall. So what we have is a festival of new work called Tiny Necessary Theater. And the reason, just to unpack the name for a moment, it's a little bit of a riff, I guess, on, tiny, beautiful things, but we were looking for pieces that would be able to be presented socially distanced and that would really speak to our community. So we were really looking for plays that were created with and by beloved Northern Stage artists, and plays that would entertain us, that would provoke us, and that would allow the community ways of connecting during this very disconnected time. So we were really searching for the right pieces, and I think we really found them. So the first show I'm going to tell you about is called It's Fine, I'm Fine, and that is our live offering that is starting previews on Wednesday, which is just an amazing phrase to say in this time, because it has been such a journey to work with all of the unions that Northern Stage works with, all of the artists, the Vermont Health and Safety Guidelines. It has taken, a village, a partnership with Alice Peck Day Memorial Hospital, who does our COVID testing. this incredible infrastructure is all sort of coming to bear very soon, which we're really excited about. And it's all in service of this gorgeous play. So It's Fine, I'm Fine is written by Stephanie Everett, who graduated from Dartmouth just a couple of years ago. And while she was at Northern Stage on her experiential term, which is exactly what Kate's doing right now, she started to write a play about her experience of being a Dartmouth soccer player and suffering multiple concussions, and then ending up with post-concussive syndrome. So it is really about a woman coming of age and adjusting to this new normal physically, having to leave, soccer, which she had dedicated so much of her life to, but finding peace and herself and healing within this journey. It's an incredibly uplifting play. It's incredibly funny. It's, I think this is a time when so many people are going through a lot, whether it's, illness, separation. And this is a play really about all of our invisible struggles. It's an incredibly moving journey. It's about an hour long. And so it's going to be presented in the Barrett Center, socially distanced. So what that means is, as I said before, about 40 audience members per show. There's an incredible, amount of attention and care given to, the sanitizing of everything. There'll be hand sanitizer everywhere, no intermission. There's all of these really special precautions being taken so that it is safe for everyone. All of the artists are being tested weekly. So that is, all in an effort to make everyone feel safe in the theater. That will be running from Wednesday, October 7th to Sunday, October 25th in the Barrett Center. And if you're not yet comfortable coming into an indoor space, which we know a lot of our community isn't yet, we're also going to be presenting that show online. We're doing sort of an artful video, taping of it. So you'll see basically the same as the live show, but it will be taped and edited by our incredible designer who's filming all of our shows, Diva. So I highly recommend checking out this incredible show. We had it in our New Works Now Festival in 2018. It premiered at the United Solo Festival in 2019, and it won Steph the Best Newcomer Award. And it's amazing to have her back at Northern Stage. She also, since then, has acted for us in Citrus, and this show will actually have movement by the Citrus movement director, Beatrice Capote, an incredible choreographer. So that's It's Fine, I'm Fine. That's the first production that you'll be able to see either in person or online. Secondly, we have Dutch Masters. Now, Dutch Masters is the play we love so much that we have put it into our season like 2 years running, and something always comes up, which is it's very disappointing. So we were supposed to do it this fall, but unfortunately, because of COVID, we transitioned it into a virtual production. So Dutch Masters is it's an incredible play, and it really tackles in a really brilliant way some of the issues that a lot of us are thinking and talking about. It tells the story of two young men on a New York City subway. One is a young Black man, one's a young white man. The scenario is set up so that you sort of think you understand the relationship between the two. And a lot of preconceptions sort of get filtered into your judgment of these two characters. One seems to be, sort of a well-off, young white man. The Black man seems that, like he might have some sort of designs on the other guy. And, it sort of builds up this very suspenseful relationship, and then the play proceeds to turn your preconceptions on their head completely. It's an absolutely brilliant, suspenseful, amazing play about what the true relationship is between these two men. So you have to see it to understand what I'm saying, because it's completely surprising. It's incredibly suspenseful, and it features two incredible New York actors who we brought up to the Barrett Center. We filmed them in the theater for a week doing the play in this incredibly unique theatrical setting. And that's going to come out actually next Thursday, the 8th. October 8th. So that will be available very soon. And it's going to be an absolutely brilliant ride. So I highly recommend Dutch Masters. We also, along with Dutch Masters, are going to have some great, I'll talk about some of the conversation events we have soon, because those are also going to be very exciting. And then lastly, of our triple bill, we have Marisa Smith's amazing The Naked Librarian, which I'm partial to because I'm directing it, and also because I love collaborating with Marisa. And The Naked Librarian is a cycle of monologues that Marisa wrote partially before the pandemic and partially after. You know, we sort of felt like monologues are a great form right now because they allow, you know, actors to be socially distanced, and they actually really lend themselves so well to virtual presentation. And so The Naked Librarian is really a cycle of monologues about 3 generations of a family and their loves, their regrets, their hopes, and really how things change over generations or don't change over generations, sort of what unites us all. And I think it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous play. We are reuniting with one of our favorite actors who starred in Marisa's play Venus Rising, as well as an incredible cast, one of whom you'll see very shortly. So The Naked Librarian is an absolutely, you know, sort of uplifting and poignant look at love over generations. And that is being paired with a one-act by Anton Chekhov called The Harmful Effects of Tobacco, which will be starring our local star, Gordon Clapp. We're very excited about that. And The Harmful Effects of Tobacco is just a absolutely hilarious piece. And it tells the story of a man who's been encouraged by his wife to give a lecture on the harmful effects of tobacco, but in reality, he's a smoker, and she's really trying to sort of push him around. And it really is about like his reckoning with what his life has become. It is so funny, so absurd, you know, so heartbreaking, and it's going to be incredible with Gordon in the lead. So we can't wait. So that's the program. So that's a lot of information, I know, but really the big headlines are we have 3 incredible shows: It's Fine, I'm Fine, Dutch Masters, and The Naked Librarian / The Harmful Effects of Tobacco, which is a double bill. All 3 of those are available online. You can see It's Fine, I'm Fine live, and all 3 of them, they're so different from each other, as you can probably tell. And, you know, I'm happy to take any questions about them a little bit later, but they're really wonderful, wonderful pieces, and we hope you'll check them out. We also have, as you can see on our website, we've got a couple of great free conversation events around them. We've got talkbacks with the artists to coincide with opening nights. And then we have 2 amazing Spot On series. That's our lecture series that gives deeper context to our main stage work. We have a great one coming up for Dutch Masters, which is a continuation of Northern Stage's work in anti-racism and learning about anti-racism. We're doing a workshop on microaggressions and learning about them, and, you know, really steeped in some of the experiences that some artists have coming, you know, artists of color have when they come to do theater in the Upper Valley. It can be a challenging and sometimes isolating experience. And so our goal is to educate ourselves and our whole community about how we can be more welcoming and inclusive, even here in the Upper Valley. So that's coming up. And then for Steph's play, It's Fine, I'm Fine, we're doing a great lecture, sort of more of a panel discussion, a little bit about concussions. You know, there's, you know, a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of risk of them in the, you know, when you play sports, do athletic activities, and it's something that a lot of people don't know about. So we'll learn a lot more about that. So a lot of great free conversation events. And then before I turn it over to Marisa to talk, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but that's the whole thing. I just can't see your faces, so it's not as I'm not getting your energy like I usually would. So first off, before I transition to talk just a little bit about education, all of the information about these shows can be found at northernstage.org, or you can always call our box office. That's 802-296-7000. I'll put that into the chat as well later. One thing I do want to shout out is that if you become an ensemble member of Northern Stage, that is just sort of it is our most inexpensive membership ever, since the future is always a little bit uncertain this year. But for, I think, $150, you get a ticket to everything that we do this year. So that will include all of Tiny Necessary Theater, as well as our incredible holiday offering, which is It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play, as a true radio play. So a great socially distanced holiday extravaganza, and then everything that we're doing in the winter and spring as well. And it's a way of really supporting and sustaining the theater. So I would definitely check out the Ensemble membership. It's a great deal. And then I just want to talk briefly about, our education program. And, through all of this, from the beginning of the pandemic, our director of education, Eric Love, felt so passionately that it was really important to keep connecting our students, because they are so passionate about the arts education that they get at Northern Stage and the theater training they get at Northern Stage. And so as soon as the pandemic hit, Eric brought together 32 students who are part of our youth ensemble and boot camp programs. And he started this incredible 8-week experience where every week they would come in and they would share their experiences of living in this pandemic. So he would give them writing prompts and they would talk about how they were feeling that week. They would write poems about COVID. They would, talk about how they were surviving this absolutely unprecedented time. And all of that incredible material, and it's absolutely beautiful, is being put together into a radio play called Portraits of the Pandemic. So that's another piece that will be released this November and is going to be absolutely gorgeous. I mean, their writing is stunning. The students we work with are the absolute best. I love working with them. And I think that's going to be an incredibly memorable expression of this time. Also, we have our Fall Youth Ensemble program, which is a new play called On Any Given Winter Wednesday Night, by an incredible local playwright who's also a teacher at Hanover High. So that's going to be available within the next couple of weeks on our website. That's totally free for you to take a look at. And that was all recorded on Zoom with our education students. And we are still working hard with our boot camp, our incredible boot camp program, which takes 14 juniors and seniors in high school and helps prepare them to apply to colleges, especially, focusing on their performances, their auditions, and their desire to get into really great arts programs all around the country. So that's going strong too. So there's so much happening and it's really incredible. But I think that's all for me. I mean, I'm sure there's more that is going on at Northern Stage that I'm leaving out, but I think that's probably enough for now. That's sort of what our fall looks like, and it is packed with incredible artists. And so I want to introduce one right now. I'm going to introduce the incredible playwright Marisa Smith, who has premiered both Mad Love and Venus Rising at Northern Stage, and she has also had plays produced at Portland Stage, at the Nora Theater Company in Boston, New Jersey Rep, really everywhere. She's our poet laureate of the Upper Valley, our playwright laureate, is that a thing? So I want to just bring her on to talk a little bit more about the Naked Librarian and what it's like to work on theater in this crazy time. So welcome, Marisa. Come join me. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I was afraid. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Great.
Hi, thank you for that too kind introduction. Yeah, I'll talk about anything. I just, throw me a question, anybody.
So we'll start easy and then so where did the impetus for this play come from?
Good question. I think I have these characters roaming around in my head, and I was between plays and I still wanted to keep writing. But I didn't have a specific play I was sort of obsessed with. So I've always liked to write monologues. So I decided I just decided to let some of the characters out of my head and see who they were. I know it sounds a little woo-woo. So I did, and then and that's how it all started. It's a combination of a lot of people I know and my imagination. It's sort of 50-50 from reality and from my imagination.
And I'm curious, is there anything that changed, in thinking about this as an online, a virtual performance, or do you write in the same way? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm too old and set in my ways to try to adapt myself to the virtual performance. That's just the truth. I'm just too, theater is live to me, and I congratulate and admire everything Northern Stage is doing, and it's so great to do what we can online, and I'm thrilled that I have this opportunity to do it online, but I don't think I really, in my mind, I didn't really adapt it, but it adapts very well. Monologues do very well, either in Zoom or as we're going to film them. I think it does very well. But in terms of putting my brain in that one dimension, I didn't really do. I don't know how you do that really, but maybe somebody else could do that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, it's some of the best, I think some of the best online theater I've seen thus far is monologues, because you can really see like an actor inhabit a character over time.
Mm-hmm.
What's hard is, when you're watching theater on Zoom, I think it can be difficult because of the lag time between computers.
Yeah.
And that's actually the reason why for Dutch Masters, we actually brought the actors up. So they were actually in the same room, even though not, the entire creative team was not in the same room. The actors were in the same room so that we don't have that problem. But
there is one good thing. I'm trying to be optimistic. It's great to have a theater so ephemeral. It's great to have a permanent record of the actors doing these monologues. So that'll be really great for me personally, to have that.
And it's also something that everyone can see.
Yeah, and I'll probably, there'll be more people looking at it, which is great.
Accessibility and a wider reach. Yeah, great.
Very good.
And so do you want to talk a little bit, I'm curious if you want to talk a little bit about like the process. So Naked Librarian, I think, is the only actual world premiere that we're doing this fall. So what is it like we've been deep in this experience in the last week. What is it like to work on a play for the first time when it's still changing and mutating?
Well, it's first of all, it's great to work with you again, Jess, because it's familiar and I feel like safe and familiar. And also it's great to work with Dieren, who I've worked with before. So that's very good. It is strange though to like rehearse on a computer. It's just not, of course, what I'm used to. But the fact that it's monologues really, I kind of am waiting, like, when are we going to the theater? I mean, I still can't adjust. It's like when I first went in an RV recently, it was like, when do I get to the hotel? And it was like, this is the hotel. I just can't wrap my head around it. I've said like a lot of times. I'm too old to say like. So it's been a fun experience so far. I really enjoyed it. And it's just strange. It's a strange new world. But I'm getting a lot more out of it than I thought I would, because as you said, it's monologues and it's so close. You can really, and you still hear the rhythm and the music, and I think the actors are really terrific. And so I'm excited to do it. And I think I have faith eventually also I'll see it in a theater someday.
Yeah. And
it also just goes to show that you never know what's in your trunk, how it could be used. I mean, I never thought that these monologues would be used in this manner. And it's like a lesson, for a writer. You just keep writing. You never know what strange thing in your trunk might come in handy someday. Mm-hmm. This weird monologue I wrote about the Naked Librarian, based on a funny little story I heard about friends of mine who spent a year on a beach in Mexico. I just never had any idea that it would become a world premiere virtually. It's kind of a good story for kids, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. And is there, something in particular that you would like people to take away from the play when they watch it?
Well, in the past I've written comedy, and I never really tried to write comedy, but it kind of came out that way. And I think this is sort of the most serious thing I've ever written, even though I didn't intend for that to happen. This is just how it came out. And I think in a weird way, this is an appropriate play to this time because it's sort of a rumination on mortality, which I think we're all ruminating on a little bit more than we'd like to, and a rumination on priorities, which always seem to come down to the same things in life, which is love, relationships, connecting, and human connection. And I think that we're all kind of thinking a lot about human connection now because we've been denied a lot of human connection. And I think we took it for granted, probably. I took it for granted. So I think the play is oddly appropriate to the time in that it underlines the things that I believe are priorities in life. And I think a lot of people also do. And there are a couple of laughs in there as well, I hope.
Yeah, it's funny that you say it's serious because it is, I see what you're saying, and it is a rumination on these things, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels like you are being seduced by these incredible characters, just like one after the other, and you just fall in love with each of them. And so it doesn't feel, I mean, in no way does it feel like issue-y or dry or serious. It feels really, I don't know, it feels really human. These characters also, they love so much, like they have so much feeling, and you really feel for them. So I don't know.
That's good. It's not issue-y at all. So that's really good that you feel that way. It's because it's not no politics. Thank you, Lord.
Yes, no
We have enough politics.
But I am always seduced by your characters.
Oh, good. Well, I do love these people. It's weird, I do really love the characters. You sort of, as a writer, you kind of live in a weird land where these people become very real to you, but you still are sane, obviously. I mean, I know they're not real.
Yeah, and to sort of just give a bit more, just before we show a little excerpt, just to tell people a little bit more about the style of it. I mean, it is a monologue cycle in that you meet the amazing Goosey, who is the Naked Librarian, and you hear her story, and then we move on to her lost love, Pumpernickel, and you hear his story, and then sort of down to the next generation of their kids, and then down finally to the generation of the grandkids, which is what
right.
You see. So yeah, I mean, I know that maybe not everyone is familiar with like what a monologue cycle might look like, but it really is about meeting each of these characters, getting to live in their world. Each character has like, about 10 minutes or so. It's not a super long play, but there's a sort of an unfolding of these generations in this family as they sort of talk to you about their loves, their lost loves, and how that has impacted their life.
And one thing that always interested me is how the lives of the generations that came before you have an impact on your life, even if you don't know it. And it's sort of it's unseen almost, and it kind of filters into your head. You hear a story about some ancestor, or an anecdote, and I really think that we don't realize how much we're affected by the people that came before us in our family, and how sometimes we relive their lives unconsciously, subconsciously, or make their same mistakes, or don't, or correct a mistake from a generation. I think there's so much going on that we're just not aware of, that we, some of us maybe, talk to shrinks forever and ever and get to some of that. But I think that's a kind of a cool thing that happens in your life. So if the audience can go home and think about that, that might be really interesting to them, to see how they're either duplicating a life of an ancestor, or correcting, or doing something that they never realized they were doing before.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, I think that's a great segue into seeing just a little bit.
Kate?
So this is a really fun part. So Kate Dieren is one of our 3 amazing Dartmouth e-term students. She is currently a student at Dartmouth taking a term off to be in residence at Northern Stage. These 3 e-termers are the bravest e-termers to come be with us during this really challenging time, but they are completely embedded in the organization right now, working on educational programs, on main stage programs, and Kate is such a wonderful actor, and we were so glad that this role in the Naked Librarian was such a great match for her. So we are going to show you just a little bit. So we didn't want to give away too much. This will, but this will give you a little bit of a taste of the monologue for Aviva, who is the grandchild of, of the lost love pumpernickel. So she is sort of the final generation that we meet. So Kate, whenever you're ready, she's gonna, we'll do, I think this is, hopefully it's about 5 minutes or so, a little excerpt monologue.
I'm not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form when I tell you, when I swear to you, we had the perfect family. I mean, we were so perfect, it was like legendary. Our house was the place to be. You know, all my friends and Sammy's friends wanted to come over. My dad was super chill, and he cooked breakfast every morning, and a real one too. You know, pancakes, turkey bacon, the works. And my mom taught piano at home. She loved her students and would dress up like the G clef or a tuba. Really silly stuff. So life was good, you know. Other parents were flipping out, running away with their dental hygienist, buying stupid cars. But ours was rock solid, reliable, predictable. But then came the night of the Berkowitz Nakba. That's what Sammy and I call the night our parents told us they were getting a divorce. Nakba is an Arab word that means catastrophe, and the Arabs use it to refer to the day Israel became a state. That was a big catastrophe for them, still is. And our parents' divorce was a big catastrophe for us. The Berkowitz Nakba. It was July, 10 years ago. I had just finished my freshman year at Colby College, and Sammy was a junior in high school. I was coaching girls softball for the rec center and lifeguarding, and Sammy was working in a music shop and playing gigs with his bluegrass band called the Green Mountain Rocky Horror Boys. We'd all been running around and waving to each other on our way out the door. And one night, Mom insisted we have a family dinner. She cooked beef Wellington, beef and puff pastry, which was something she'd never cooked before, and she made me and Sammy's favorite cake, which was also strange. We'd never had cake except at birthdays. So the vibe at dinner was definitely off, and Sammy and I kept looking at each other like, what? And Mom kept the conversation going mostly about the food, and Dad was in his seat looking tense. You know, I guess I thought there was some bad news coming about our grandma who had dementia. She was living in an old people's prison, and I thought maybe they were going to tell us Grandma had to move into our house when Mom said she wanted to have cake in the living room, which was also sort of weird. So I said, what is going on? Is Grandma okay? Did she die or something? It feels like somebody died, I said. And at that moment, Dad started to cry, which like never happened. And I mean, he actually started to sob, and Mom went over and patted him on the back. And I realized then that I rarely, if ever, saw them touch each other. So we all marched into the living room like obedient children about to be punished and sat down. I could feel Sammy was freaking out, and Dad stopped crying. And I said, is someone sick? Does someone have terminal cancer? Could someone tell us what the fuck is going on? And then Dad said, please don't curse, Viv. Let's try and keep it under control, which was funny since he was so out of control. I mean, keep what the fuck under control, I screamed. And then Sammy yelled, they're getting a divorce, moron. And boom, of course. Idiotic Sammy, who was always stoned or in his head writing a song, was absolutely fucking right.
Great, thank you, Kate. So that's a little bit of a taste of Aviva. We're so excited to see the full thing. She is speaking to you from the beach in Mexico, which we are going to try and approximate here in the Upper Valley, and that'll be really exciting, since that's where the character is. So at this point, I'd love to open it up to questions, and I think, you know, I'll put myself into gallery view, and I should be able to see folks if they raise their hand. So I'd love to hear what's on your mind. Do you have any questions about what's going on at Northern Stage or the play for any of us? Also, if you want to use the raise hand button, you may, if your video is off. Looking for questions. Kerrigan. Kerrigan is our Bold Artistic Fellow, also here through Bold. What? Yeah.
Hi, I'm just wondering, Marisa, given just the nature of how this is being done, like it's very untraditional that the actors will be rehearsing and filming separately, and so will you still be involved throughout the rehearsal process, or like what will you, or are you just finishing the script and handing it off to them?
Oh, yeah, I'll still be involved in rehearsal. And I think that I'm allowed to come see it filmed in the Upper Valley, but I can't go see, two of them are being shot in the Upper Valley. And then the other two, Goosey and Pumpernickel, will be done in New York, but apparently I can't go to New York and watch that for some reason. But I can watch in the Upper Valley, but we will rehearse. We've rehearsed Goosey like twice on Zoom with Dieren. And it's almost like being there, you know, almost.
As like you could go to filming and like you'd have to stand far away and like use binoculars, because we have very strict restrictions with the union. We're doing this with the Screen Actors Guild union. So we can't just like pop down to New York and watch, unfortunately, but we can watch from afar. Oh, Janet, go ahead.
Just say something about the fact that Northern Stage is one of 3 in the country that has been given permission to go live with theater in the theater. That's quite a coup.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. It's incredible. I mean, since the pandemic, you know, it has been very, very difficult to get any sort of permission from, in particular, the Actors Union, Actors Equity. And in fact, we tried to do an outdoor Shakespeare play. They nixed it. Everything was getting vetoed. And the fact that they are allowing us to do a play live indoors, we are the first LORT theater, which means the League of Regional Theaters. That's the major regional theaters. We're the first of that entire group to be allowed to do theater inside. And that is because of our unbelievably tireless team. I mean, our managing director, Irene Green, our director of production, Carol, our artistic director, as well as the partnerships they've been able to forge with Alice Peck Day, with local health authorities, the work that they've done to make sure that going to the theater will be absolutely safe for the artists and audiences is unbelievable. And pair that, of course, with the fact that this region has not been hit terribly hard by the coronavirus, and we have a totally unique opportunity. We are one of the only places doing live indoor theater, one of only 3 places to get approved at the same time at the end of August. And so it's just an incredible blessing that we'll be able to do and, you know, do some live theater and have folks experience it in a way that feels very, really safe. So thank you, Janet. Yeah, it was such an ordeal to get it done, but the fact that it's happening is really a miracle. And you know, a miracle made from hard work. So yeah, it's also another reason to be proud of your local theater, because we're having a national impact with this. Yeah. So before I take the next question, Jean had also asked me a great question, which is just to give a little bit more detail on how ticketing is happening. So ticketing is, this is all on our website on northernstage.org, but basically there's ticketing for the live performances of It's Fine, I'm Fine. And that requires tickets just like any play in our theater. And then there are tickets being sold for all of the online plays as well. They're very affordable and accessible. They're $15 a piece for each virtual offering. And if you buy an Ensemble membership, you get 1 ticket to everything. So then that would take care of all of that for you. So all those plays are ticketed, and then the educational plays are free of charge. So those you'll find information about on our website. And next question, Sandy, I think you have your hand up. Go ahead.
I want to know why you picked a librarian.
Marisa?
That's a good question. Probably because I love books, and I love the contrast of this woman loving books, bringing a cart of books to a nude beach, having no clothes on. And I love the contrast between a librarian and nudity, because you never see those two things together, do you? So that's why. It's just part of the imagination stew. And I thought it would be, that's just how she connected, with the world through her books.
Okay, thank you. I had one more question about the whole setup, and it's not for that particular play, but as you were going through all the things that Northern Stage is offering, my mind got exploded with information. Do you have all of that listed on northernstage.org so that the whole year is listed? That wouldn't be your question, Marisa, but
yeah, what I'll do is I will pop into the chat some of the most important pages. So especially the Tiny Necessary Theater page, that will give all the information about that. And then maybe also the education page as well. There's not, the education shows aren't available yet, but they will be available. Winter Wednesday night will be available within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, some of us are not familiar with chat, so that's why I needed to know where all this information would be. I don't know chat.
So it's just in this Zoom meeting itself. So I'm gonna put it in, and I'll see if you can.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So here, this link that hopefully appeared, and it's just northernstage.org/TNT, and that will.
Thank you.
Yeah, info on that.
Thank you.
And our box office is also, we're generally open 11 to 4 on weekdays, and they have information about all of that as well. Great. Any other questions? Great. I'm going to ask one more question, and then maybe we'll wrap up. I know we're getting close to time, but I want to ask Kate, what is the experience like of being in residence at a theater during this crazy time? I would just love to maybe talk a little bit about what you've been working on and what that's been like, maybe about Winter Wednesday and all that.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been incredible so far. It's only been about a month, I'd say. And so they have me and the other E-termers, are experiential term is what that stands for. I think Jess probably mentioned that. But so there are 3 of us, we're like interns, and essentially they've had us kind of weave through the different departments in the theater. So I've gotten to work a little with the development department and learn what all that means. And now I'm kind of working with marketing, and I got to do a big education project, which was fun. So I was helping on the show on Any Given Winter Wednesday night, which was really neat, getting to work with middle schoolers and younger high schoolers on a project over Zoom. So yeah, it's been awesome. And then I'm starting this next project with Jess and Marisa. So I'll get to not only act in it, but also be a little behind the scenes, helping Jess along the way. So yeah, it's super exciting and an unparalleled opportunity. I don't know of any other theaters that, welcome college students to come and experience it in this sort of intimate way. So it's definitely a wonderful opportunity for me.
Are you a theater major, Kate?
I'm a math major.
That's
actually.
what I heard.
I am. Yeah.
Well, we better change that.
That's our goal. Yeah. Yeah, and Kerrigan, our artistic fellow, is actually a former e-termer from 2 seasons ago. You might have seen her in Matilda. Yeah, and so these e-term relationships can tend to be ongoing, which is a really wonderful thing.
Yay.
Great. Okay, math is awesome. All right, I'd agree with that. Cool. So I think unless anyone has a question, I think that we're probably around at our time.
Well, I just want to thank Marisa and Kate and Jess for such a great presentation. It was really interesting to see all the work you're doing, which is a tremendous amount of effort to be put into online and now live performances. And I know it's been jumping over hurdles for the last 6 months. It's been crazy, I'm sure, but we're happy you're back. And we're looking forward to the productions that you spoke of tonight, and looking forward to 2021. I want to thank also everyone for joining us tonight. It's a beautiful fall weekend in New Hampshire and Vermont, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to check out the Northern Stage website for all the details on their upcoming events, and the Center for the Arts website as well for all of our upcoming events, going live for our gallery night opening on the first Friday of November. We hope to see you there, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.